American football in Finland.
Do you think that college football can become as international as the NFL? We have NFL games in London, so maybe we have Michigan, Ohio State game in Frankfurt, Germany, or something like that. What do you think?
I definitely think that can happen, and I think that not only does it do something for Europe again, it brings the sport over in another level, but it gives back to these college athletes. Like, just imagine some of these athletes have never traveled in their life and probably won't. But the one time that they do, they get to go play in another country, have that experience, and they get to give back to the game. I think that's the first step for them of being a professional, to say, hey, Mom, we're flying to Germany this week to play Ohio State. We're going to stay a week. And they got the money to do it on the college level. The money. Yeah, so they got the money. It's not a big deal to do it. I definitely think that that'll be something that's not only big for Europe to have, but for the NCAA. It makes college football more relevant than
what do you think about here in Europe, though? Do you think fans will embrace it? Like the NFL, it took a while for the NFL to get a foothold here. So do you think college football would have faster success, or because college football is really regional? It's very regional. Even depending on what teams you brought over, like doing one game probably wouldn't do it justice, because you'd have two teams that one team would have to give up a home game to do it. That's going to cost that team a little bit more money. And it's well, do they have the fan base to have people come to the game? Like I said, Michigan versus Ohio State, that's not going to happen. It's not there's no way that they recoup the money that they will make in that game being played in Michigan or Ohio State. But say you have Alabama, Clemson, or something like that. Again, I still don't know if to have a good game, and you can't have a rivalry for it to be over in Europe, because the rivalry games are too big in the States. So if it's not a rivalry, will people even care about college football in the States? I mean, in Europe.
I still think they'd do it. The reason I say that is, think about I think it was last year when the Division II or the Division III team went to Swarco and played against Swarco in an exhibition game, and Swarco won. It was several fans from the States that had come to support their children in that game. Now, it probably can't be a Michigan State, Ohio State game, but it can be some of these D1 AA teams, or even some of these teams to where they don't get a lot of exposure anyway. Like, every team in the college.
I don't want it to be a small team, though. That's what I'm trying to get at. I want it to be at least a D1, because the D3 playing in Swarco is awesome, but that's kind of like a measuring stick for them. I'm talking about for entertainment purposes. So I want to see. I think that are going to put it on the line.
I think it's definitely going for NCAA. It's going to come down to business, like you said. It's going to come down to money, because I think that even if the game is played in Germany, the fan base is probably still not going to turn out to be what it would be played if they played at one of their stadiums in the States.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That may be the killer, just because of that, because revenue is involved. But I still think it could be a possibility, because for an example, in college, the players don't get paid anyway. So let's say for this one game, you don't generate $50 million, whatever they generate a game. I know in college they make a lot per game. You're not paying the players anyway.
True.
You're not really losing on what the NFL loses out by playing in Europe. Because, for an example, if a playoff game in the NFL was played in Europe, let's say New England Patriots Steelers played in Europe, okay? That's a big-time game that needs to be played at a big-time stadium to bring in big-time money. And let's say Foxborough Stadium holds 50,000 people, and the first level they charging about $45,000. They won't do that game in Europe because, for one, we may not have a stadium that big, and we're not going to generate that much money. So they wouldn't do it.
Twickenham and Wimbledon is big enough.
Yeah, they could possibly – they wouldn't do that based on – yeah, they won't feel it and get the same type of money and ratings. But for college, I mean, with what you have to pay, let's say we have to get the players there and we got to feed them. We're not going to pay them. How much do you really lose?
See, they already have college like basketball teams play tournaments in different places, but that's a totally different sport. I guess I'm thinking. I guess you can get like a Power Five conference.
Yeah.
Team, not a Power Five, actually like a Group of Five. The Power Five, they make too much money.
But yeah, because I think that for the players would love the college athletes would love the idea to do it.
You know what would be awesome? Okay, like this season, you had UCF went 12-0, and don't nobody give a damn about them. Say you have like a Group of Five team that does really good or plays in a bowl, and maybe that qualifies them. Like instead of winning just a whole bunch of crap at that bowl game, they win the game to be played in Europe the next season. Like they win like the preseason game in Europe or first game of the season in Europe the next year.
I think that'll be fun because for the program and for the players, it's a bonus. It's an honor. It's an achievement. I mean, you won out, you got your ring, and now you get a free trip in the mix for the next season. I think that's a great thing. And also it gives football fans, like there are football fans in Europe. What I mean by that is not just NFL. You have people that watch college football. You have people that keep up with European football. So, I mean, I think people would definitely be, even though it may not be the NFL, people would still want to come out and see the next big thing play. You can't forget that NFL athletes start out in college first.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a college game pass, too. There's like this ESPN player thing, but it's just not the same. It doesn't play all the games because the games have to like be on ESPN. A lot of
I watch college football. I watch college football more if I had a college game pass because I miss them all the time. There's so many of them. You want to watch all of them. You have to make choices. Yeah. And it's like you can't get to all of them. And if you don't get to it, you ain't going to.
American football in Finland.
I don't know. When I first posed this question, I was just like, hey, man, I got NFL Game Pass. Give me college Game Pass. But the more I think of it, the harder it is. College football is really regional. Like, it's a lot more regional than the NFL. So that's kind of where the fan base is. But I think it's intriguing enough that if you were to have a couple of, like, out-of-conference games early in the season between mid to lower D1 teams, that it could catch on in Europe. I'm not saying have Ohio State, Michigan come play in Italy or anything like that, but maybe if you have a lower level, not a lower level, I still think it needs to be a D1 team just for quality of product that you actually bring over here. But I think if you had certain teams that can get over here and create a type of fan base, the sport could catch on well enough to maybe have that like college game pass that I'm talking about.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, a D3 team came here and actually played the Finnish national team. That was kind of cool. And it reminded me of, how college basketball teams, every year before the season starts, they make international trips. UCLA just made their infamous trip to China.
Yeah.
And I saw, 20 years ago, I saw Utah come here when they had Hanno Mittila, a Finnish player, playing on their team, and they played the national team as well. And it was the Kiisa-halli was absolutely packed. And I know that this year Jim Harbaugh took Michigan to Italy, I believe it was.
Yeah, for the spring game.
Yeah, and so if get a few more colleges to do something like that, that would be great because everybody knows NFL teams. You see them all the time, but college is just it's the real deal. Like I said, it's regional. It's live or die. I take college over pros every day. The pros, they change their teams every year, but that college guy is going to be there 3 or 4 years and things like that. And so it goes much deeper. And so if we can get a little more exposure, whether it's through College Pass or some teams coming over here, that would be the best thing to actually see some of these teams. Because I don't know how many guys actually have even seen college games. They know the teams, they've heard of them, but have they even seen college games?
Yeah, I think
it's much more fun, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love the game. Well, I'll be honest here, I don't follow college ball that much. And again, the regional thing, the division conference things, playoff structure, all those things, it makes it much harder for the non-hardcore fan to really get into, I think.
Exactly.
Versus NFL. NFL is much more structured. You know who teams are going to play. You've got the rivals more laid out. I'm sorry, college actually has great rivalries. But you've got these schedules laid out. You've got the playoff structure. You've got the conferences. Everyone knows where their team is in that sense. I do think, like Mark, you were saying, Utah playing here several years ago, basketball, they had a Finnish guy. If EMU came over and played a spring game here, man, that would be packed. You know, people would want to go see Valasti play, something like that. So you, I think, not just Finland, but other parts of Europe where you've got Europeans playing, you bring the team there, another spring game team. I think that would catch on in that sense. You create the hype from it. But I think as it's just not as spectator friendly. I mean, the game itself is, but following it for the whole season, following teams, the playoff, like I said, the playoff structure is a complete mess. I haven't even actually looked at what the top 4 teams are, I'll be honest. You know, I know there's controversy, but I haven't even bothered to look at which is a 4 and who's 4 and 5 and who missed it and whatever. Just because it's, you know, whatever. I'll watch the ball games.
We know who missed it. Pervis
we know. It isn't our team, that's for sure. Damn it.
The one thing that maybe the college team has is the actual game day schedule is much longer. It starts at finish time, 7 p.m., and goes. The last game starts at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I wake up.
And so, you know,
morning.
Oh, I don't sleep in the fall at all. But you know, NFL is 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock and things like that. College plays more days a week and more time. So if there's anything, in a college Game Pass type of mode, there's a lot more options and hundreds of games compared to 16 games.
I think Josh, you're the actual, you would be the target. How do you get the sport to be something that people who have no dog in the fight want to watch? I'm glad that we're talking about this. I've talked about this before and I thought about it differently, but now that I think about it, I think maybe if a couple of teams or a conference that they specifically try to get a foothold into Europe, say the MAC West or something like that, they decide every year they're going to go to Switzerland. So what they do is they're going to promote that they're going to Switzerland at the beginning of every season, and whoever they're playing is also going to get to go. So they're going to be cross-promoting it. But what they do is when they go, those Switzerland people, well, the ones that actually they get to come to the games, that's who they target. That's who they try to get and hang out and make it an event for, so that becomes their audience. Kind of how people are saying London is pretty much Jacksonville Jaguars place now, because not because people there are Jacksonville Jaguars fans, but they go there the most and they actually play well when they go there. It kind of relates. I think that if there was a team, I don't know what team it would be, because I can't for the life of me think of one that would want to do it. And that's also a problem. But if there was a team that every year, every other year, they went to a certain city in Europe and basically took it over for 2 weeks, I think eventually it would catch on.
I say Michigan did it this year. Michigan's about the biggest fish out there. It might take somebody with that type of resources to come and do it.
Yeah, but I want to see a game. They came for the spring game, which is kind of like an exhibition type thing. And I think even though people they went to Rome, you missed out on the actual experience of the games, which is what I think they would have to try to sell to eventually get to the Game Pass level. Because
did they do an intra-squad game there or anything? Do you know?
Yeah, they did their spring game there. They did their spring game.
Oh, okay.
They did it in front of a crowd, but it was more like a recruiting trip for John Harbaugh more than anything, though.
Sure.
It was some way he was trying to get people to go to Italy. I don't know. I'm thinking more of a game to kind of kick off the season. I mean, I know it would be hard with college because every conference is kind of have its own network, but it'd be pretty cool if the beginning of the college season started with that. That was
somebody could come over here in August and play, and then take a bye week, and then play again in 2 weeks in the States.
That'd be
very
awesome
doable.
Way. Yeah, that'd be an awesome way to kind of start the season, and then everyone will be looking at that. Say that was the only college game that weekend.
Exactly.
So people in the States are saying that it's international. That's a recruiting tool for the team that's playing. They're hey, you come here, you can go see the world, not just play football. And then also those people that are in that country are going to be on TV. They know that now. I don't know. I think it's something cool that could be possible one day. I'm talking about like, okay, we do this every like other year, and just like you have the London games, we start with one game, and then maybe we have like a mid-season game, and then maybe we move to actually having a bowl game. It would be a one-off type thing. Like the fan would know every other year at this time, there's this crazy thing going on. Maybe it would have to be like a conference, like a regional type thing, like say the MAC West. They would always send one team there who would play another MAC West team there. The original Game Pass for college would be a MAC West games. So that way,
that wouldn't be too bad.
I don't think you can do it as globally as the NFL because, like you said, it's too many teams. Yeah, I'm definitely saying that it would have to be one conference, maybe even one team constantly going there to build it. I don't know where it would go from there. Obviously, you would see what the numbers were like. I would think that like there's probably a conference, MAC West, the MAC conference could be one of them, that their fan base is okay in the States, and they're not going to get a bigger fan base. It's set. College is set. Your fan base ain't changing. So where should you go? Across the water. Like, so that maybe I should go to the MAC and just talk to them. I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. Obviously, that's just like a dream type situation for me because I'm still watching college and the NFL every week. I wake up on Sundays and I use the ESPN like highlight thing on my phone and just highlights all the games from the college weekend. If
you look at the college lineup, I mean, in Finland here, the game starts at 7:00, and there's 2 dozen of them.
Yeah,
10:30, there's 3 dozen. Okay, and then after that, it's almost like every hour until you get to like 5:30. So you should be able to find a game. Like Finland, they definitely need to be 7, probably 10:00 would be like the latest start for somebody who really, really wants to follow a team. And so then with that being the case, you're looking at, East Coast teams. East Coast teams obviously would be easier to travel to Europe, and most of their games would be East Coast time, which is a Saturday, 7:00 Saturday night game here.
I know they're not related, but NFL Game Pass plus college would be awesome. That would work for me. Just add like an extra like $10 a month to watch college games.
But I'm saying even just the one conference, the one that's trying to expand here.
Yeah, just the one conference would be fine. That would be awesome. I'd still pay for it. I'd watch the MAC. I don't even like the MAC, but I'd watch it. So I think that's why if you were to have that consistency of that one conference or one team coming over every other year, I mean, obviously this probably would take longer than I would want, but you would eventually build up to that actually having a fan base worth launching that video product.
American football in Finland.